What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we're going to be breaking down the Week 2 game between the Tampa Bay Vipers and the Seattle Dragons. Final score in this one, Dragons 17, Vipers 9. But hey, before we get started, if you're looking for fantasy XFL content and just content about the XFL in general, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to be posting stuff every day, keeping you up to date on everything that's happening. Anyway, not going to waste any more time. Let's get started right now. Alright, so as I said, we are breaking down the Vipers and Dragons in this one. If you didn't get a chance to catch the game, don't worry. I've actually condensed the entire game for you in under 30 minutes. You can watch the entire thing, every single play. Just click the link in the description or the little box above me. That'll give you the ability to watch that game for free and see the entire game, like I said, every single play in under 30 minutes. But anyway, this game, was pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting a ton of scoring in this one, but it was even below what I was expecting for. Both offenses had a ton of struggles. This is definitely more of the symptom that we kind of expressed for the New York Guardians as well. There's going to be a bit of learning curve for these offenses as the season goes on. I'm hoping that they begin to gel a bit more, but I'm starting to get concerned with these two teams the most. Their offenses have had some of the weakest performances, and now it's kind of looked to be more of a trend. And I mean, at this point, the Vipers haven't even scored an offensive touchdown, and the Dragons have had bursts of decency on offense, but Brandon Silvers has just been incredibly inconsistent. Both defenses looked pretty good in this one, but we'll continue to monitor these teams going forward. All right, let's break down the fantasy stats for the Vipers. Aaron Murray was out for this one, so Taylor Cornelius got the start, but Quentin Flowers played some as well. Cornelius went 16 for 27, 59% completion, so 154 yards and 2 interceptions on the day. And then Quentin Flowers had 3 for 7, 43 yards. 43% completion, only 18 yards, and then had that very terrible pick six. It was pretty funny. Again, watch that condensed version if you want to see all the plays. Quentin Flowers also had 5 carries for 15 yards on the ground. So just very rough day from the quarterbacks. The running backs have continued to get it done, but we're scratching our head here as trying to figure out who the better running back is on some of these teams. Similar situation here as the DC Defenders. It's mostly a two-man show, but last week Devian Smith was the guy. This year, Jacques Patrick actually had more carries. He had 14 carries for 73 yards, including a 21-yard long run, and he also had 1 reception for 18 yards on the day. Devian Smith only 11 carries for 46 yards, and he had 1 reception for 12 yards. So overall, Patrick had the better day on the ground, and he looked really good. So this might turn into a 1A, 1B hot hand situation, which really sucks because we were hoping that Devian Smith would be one of those running backs that we could trust to be consistently good week after week. So we're going to have to monitor that going forward. All right, looking at the wide receivers on this game now, Daniel Williams looked really good last week. He almost bailed you out in this one with a touchdown at the very end of the game, but he got called for pushing off, so it got taken away from him. He only had 3 catches for 22 yards on 4 targets. Reese Horn led the team in targets on the day with 8 targets, 5 for 51, so okay fantasy day if you started him. And no other, I guess Jalen Tolliver had 2 receptions for 6 yards. That was pretty bad. No other receiver had more than 1 reception. So pretty disappointing day all around, but a lot of that had to do with the poor quarterback play. And then jumping over to the tight ends, Nick Truesdale there with 4 receptions on 5 targets, but only 29 yards. Again, just not really able to do much in this game with the poor quarterback play, but definitely a name we're going to continue to look at for tight ends. Hopefully as this offense gets a little bit better, Nick Truesdale will continue to see his production increase. Tight ends are very hard to get right in this league right now for fantasy, so definitely going to keep an eye on him. All right, jumping over to the Dragons now. Brandon Silvers incredibly inconsistent in this one. Only 7 for 18, which is a 39% completion rating and 91 yards on the day. Didn't even have 100 yards. Had 1 long touchdown for 68 yards, 1 pick six, which was pretty terrible, and other than that, basically did nothing. So I do think the Tampa Bay Vipers defense is decent, but we're going to have to see a lot more from Silvers to actually feel pretty comfortable in this team going forward. All right, looking at the running backs on the day, this was pretty much a three-headed even split between Trey Williams, Farrow, and Gardner. Trey Williams had 11 carries for 45 yards, Kenneth Farrow had 10 carries for 45 yards, and then Jaquan Gardner had 10 carries for 27 yards. So I think Trey Williams and Kenneth Farrow, again, as I said before this game started, they look to be the better running backs. That didn't really change here, but it doesn't really mean too much from a fantasy perspective. They're splitting it so much, and the offense has been so anemic until Brandon Silvers can actually start getting things done through the air and doing so consistently. It's going to be hard to trust these running backs. Trey Williams was the only running back with any receptions. He had one reception for -4 yards, so there's that. Austin Prohl, biggest disappointment on the day, only one reception on 4 targets for -1 yards. Now, he could have easily had a 40-yard touchdown if Brandon Silvers would have actually thrown the ball where it needed to be, but that was pretty much the story for a lot of these guys. Same thing for Dontez Bird, could have easily had a 50-yard touchdown, but just underthrew. Brandon Silvers underthrew him. Keenan Reynolds was the only guy that was able to break through and actually score a decent amount of fantasy points in this one. 8 targets, 3 catches, 87 yards, including one 68-yard bomb for that touchdown. So Keenan Reynolds definitely named to monitor going forward. He's had the most targets, or I think he had second most targets last week and most targets this week. He's one of only a few players in the XFL to receive 8 targets in the first 2 weeks, so definitely something to monitor. And then one tight ends, actually 2 tight ends that had some targets on the day. Ben Johnson, 1 target, 1 catch for -2 yards. And then Hamlet with 1 catch for 11 yards. He was also the guy that was targeted on the pick 6 that Brandon Silvers threw. So really not a lot of offense here. This was pretty much a defensive battle all around. We saw multiple pick 6s and plenty of turnovers from both teams. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully both of these teams can get their offenses figured out. We'll see when Aaron Murray comes back, if they'll be able to get him in sync with his team, and hopefully Brandon Silvers can get things figured out, or else we're going to be seeing BJ Daniels pretty soon. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. If you are looking for fantasy content posted daily, click that like and subscribe button. And if you're looking for rankings, trade requests, information, waiver information, everything that you need to be able to manage your fantasy league stats, click that link in the description or go to fantasyaddictionnetwork.com. We're updating stuff all the time, making that more advanced and ready for you guys to just dominate all your leagues and daily formats throughout the XFL. So make sure you check that out. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.